Hello and welcome guys to my channel. This is Mod Addict with you again, and today I'm going to be covering the mod by the creator Sunbrezze. He has this nice mod collection on his page in the Steam workshop called Cathay the World Invincible. And today I'm going to be talking about a couple of mods that adds new unit roster for Grand Cathay. So in order to have those units, you need to download two parts to it. So the first one is this part, second one is this. And the difference between these two, I think it changes the stats for the units. I remember downloading this first, and the units that been added for Grand Cathay had a really high stats, so it felt for me they were very low overpowered. And if you want the English translation for all those units, you need to download the Cathay Warriors of the East English patch. So I'm using these three mods to make this video about those units. And let's not spend any more time, and let's see how this unit look like and what they have to offer. First I'm gonna show you the new hero unit that's been added with this mod. It's called Immortal Warriors. So basically, as you can see, it's a hero unit made out of three entities. The modder gave them the Tzeentch's Barrier. They got two spells. One is Ancestral Warriors, which summons the unit of Ancestral Warriors for a short period of time. And another one is the Fire Conviction, which is the damage wine spell, which does magical and fire damage. They all have Encourage ability to give leadership to nearby standing friendly units. They have both yin and yang harmonies. They also get the spell called Immortal Dragon Breath, which heals them per second and damages everyone around them per second as well. They got the passive ability Heroic Resistance, which gives them more leadership and melee defense whenever their health goes below 50%. And they got a whole bunch of resistances by 15. Also, their melee attacks are flammable and magical. And they also get the Warflame ability on their melee attacks, which weakens enemy to fire by 10% and reduces their armor by 10. This unit has armor piercing weapon strength, and they're good against infantry and large units. And if you really miss the Skavens from Warhammer 2, Cathay Skaven Mercenaries, it's a tier 1 unit, it's expendable, basically almost the same stats as Skaven Slaves. A really cheap unit to warn enemy infantry. They have the usual Skaven abilities, strength in numbers, and Surrey away. They also get the Harmony of Zheng, like all the infantry units of Cathay. Or if you want to use them to ambush enemy front lines, they have Stalk ability. Just don't expect them to do well in melee combat. Next we got another variation of the Celestial Dragon Guards with Hobart. I know that the vanilla version already has them, but why not to have another one with the cool looking skins, right? So this unit has a unique melee attack ability called Frostbite. It's armor piercing and it's anti-large. It has a bonus for slash bar 15, so whatever it says here, I think the modder made a mistake, but that's okay. They also encourage other friendly units. They have the Seat of Rebirth that heals them in melee. Like most of the infantry units of Cathay, they have a defense stance, which has two phases. Obviously they have charge reflection and their immune psychology. Another variant for your infantry lines. Why not to have more versions of the Celestial Dragon? This one is Blade and Shield. That's anti-infantry version. They have bronze shields, high amount of armor. They also cause terror, immune psychology, and also encourage other friendly units. Decent stats for tier 3 unit, and more variety of the cool looking units for Grand Cathay. Next on the list we got the Inquisition Sorcery Guards. They have Earth under their name. So on ultra scale units, their quantity is 72, which kinda low for the melee infantry, I don't know why. But they have a poison ability for their melee attacks and also their anti-infantry. They have Stalk and Vanguard deployment, so I guess these units are gonna be good ambushing engaged enemy lines. They also cause fear, and they have ability Unspottable, and they have encourage of other friendly units. So I guess because of their charge bonus, which is kinda high for the melee infantry, it's a shock infantry, so yeah, definitely need to use them to rear charge the enemy lines. And next we have a smaller quantity units, which only 36 on a ultra scale, called Inquisition Sorcery Guards. and they have Heaven under their name. So I believe, like the previous unit, it's also a shock infantry because they have a high charge bonus. Their weapon strength is armor piercing and it's anti-large. Also, they have the burnt ability for their melee attacks. They also cause fear, have vanguard deployment, stock, and unspottable abilities, and they have encouraged other friendly units. So I guess that's another ambushers that you can use in your game to surprise the enemy army. And judging by their skins, it's a very cool looking unit for Grand Cathay. Next, we're looking at the Imperial Guards, Jinwu, 60 entities on Ultra unit scale. Really good stats for a tier 3 unit. They have bronze shields, even though they don't have them. I guess their armor protects them from enemy missiles. A lot of armor, lots of leadership, amazing melee attack, which is magical and has the discourage ability. They're also good against either infantry or large units. They encourage other friendly units. They cause terror, not fear, terror. They have a ward save by 15%, and they're immune to psychology. A really good unit that you can put against anything. And this is if you guys been waiting for the Nippon faction and expecting for developers to add this faction in a couple of years, but can't wait. This modder has a unit of the Sea Dragon Samurais, which speaks for their name. They basically look like samurais. It's a tier 3 unit. Kinda low melee stats for tier 3 unit, which has great swords, but I guess it benefits from having the frenzy ability, which increases their damage. They also have stock, they're anti-infantry, and they have the frostbite on their melee attacks. A really cool looking unit, so whoever want to use the units from Nippon faction, here's the chance. Next on the list, we have the Border Warriors, Hof. Looks like a missile infantry unit, but I found them in an infantry section, so I guess they're considered as a hybrid unit. They use rifles, which is armor piercing. Also, they're using maces for the melee combat, which is also armor piercing. Decent stats for the missile unit. You should keep them away from engaging tier 2 and up enemy. And we got another missile hybrid infantry called Border Warriors. There too were in a section of infantry, not the missile infantry. This is the bow version. They have a higher range than the previous ones, but lower missile strength. They also use maces, which makes their weapon strength is armor piercing, and their melee capabilities is good to deal with maybe tier 1 units, but not higher. And for the next we got 3 units from missile infantry. This is the Cathay Mercenaries, Stealthies. So basically if you played Kislev before Grand Cathay and you missed the Stealthy unit, this mod gives you the chance to hire them again and use them against your enemies. They have the same stats as the vanilla Kislev Stealthies. It's a hybrid unit, which is good at range and decent at melee. They look exactly the same as the Kislev version, so nothing else to add to them. And if you don't really want to use the Mercenaries, this has to offer another variant of the rifle units called Katana Archers, Crane Gunners. I don't know what's up with this English translation, so this is not the Archer unit definitely, because they're using rifles, which has a really high range, a decent melee strength for the rifles. They're at anti-large, and as you guys can see here, this unit uses multi-shot ability, basically switching against whoever they're dealing with, if they're dealing with the large or small units. I guess if they're dealing against smaller units, they become anti-infantry, and if they're dealing against large units, they become anti-large. Anyway, it's a really interesting feature that you guys should check it out. Next, we have the Katana Archer Shi. I don't know still why they're called archers, but anyway. This is the heavy missile units, really high missile strength, which is anti-infantry. They have few abilities that changes their firing capabilities. One is the flaming shot, another one is the heavy shot. Looks like flaming shot is being used against infantry, and the heavy shot is good to use against large entities. It's a tier 3 unit, and decent stats for tier 3 archer unit, and I like that this mod adds such a multitasking unit. So right now we have 3 new units for the cavalry that's been added with Grand Cathay. So the first one is the Celestial Dragon Knights. It's called Chosen. So I guess they're called chosen because they have the same unit amount as the chosen units for the Chaos faction. They have the Lance ability, which increases their charge bonus and speed. I think this is very unique cavalry piece because they have both bonuses versus infantry and large. Plus it's armor piercing, high amount of charge, good armor. So looks like this unit took good out of 2 worlds of shock cavalry and just melee cavalry. Has an amazing melee stats and can do lots of damage for cycle charging. Next we got the Longmar Riders, Yulin. Has 5 entities on ultra unit scale. Have the ability Lance, which increases their charge bonus and charge speed. They have bronze shields to stay safer from missile enemies. They have a magical melee attacks and armor piercing weapon strength. A really good charge bonus. Perfect speed to get to enemy missiles or artillery pieces. On unit description it says they're good against infantry and large units as well. And they also have ability which causing terror. Next we have the unit that can do lots of good stuff for your army. It's called Dragon Knights Blaze. So this is the missile cavalry unit, which is very unique. It's only tier 2 unit and they have the bonus versus large and infantry. Their missile strength is armor piercing, have a decent melee stats for tier 2 unit, have high amount of armor, and what's interesting, they have the ability which called Devastating Flanker, which doubles their charge bonus, which is already 48, so it's gonna be over 90. So basically it's like a lance cavalry who uses shotgun. That's a really unique unit that's been added with this mod, and I really like the uniqueness of it. Hope you guys too. And for those of you who like using terracotta sentinel, but you want to have more of them, here's the smaller version, which has 18 entities on a ultra unit scale, which has a flaming attacks for their melee, has an armor piercing melee strength, and causing terror to the enemy units. Some of you may wonder what Grand Cathay needs, and obviously Grand Cathay needs more firepower, and this unit provides it and gives us the intensive cannons, which has 2 firing modes. First one is the explosive pod, which do good damage against infantry, and if you need to take down the large unit, you can change it to the standard round, which has a higher damage and armor piercing but lower range. Its ammunition is flammable, and this unit needs guarding because if somebody is gonna engage with them, due to their low melee stats, they're not gonna do well. So make sure to keep them behind your lines. So what else it does? It adds 5 monsters to the Grand Cathay faction, and the first one is the Solar Phoenix. It's tier 2 unit, as you guys can see, their melee stats are not well, so make sure to keep them away from engaging in with enemy units. So you wonder, why do you need this unit then? Well, you need it for buffing your range units. As you can see, it gives the Solar Aura, which increases the range, armor piercing missile, reload skill, and accuracy in a really big aura of effect. So you're always going to be sure that your missile army is going to be boosted by this amazing buff. Also, this unit gets lots of resistances, so physical, missile, and fire resistances by 50%, which is a lot. I don't know why the modder added the bonus versus infantry and large, when you don't really want to keep this unit in a fight. So we boosted the range of our army. What about the melee units? Well, guess what? We have the second version of the Lune Phoenix, which boosting the melee capabilities of the units by a lot. As you can see, it gives plus 15 melee defense, melee attack, and charge bonus, 15 armor, and vigor reduction by 3%. And also it's resurrect the dead combatants and has the same large effects of the area. So as you can see, even though this unit doesn't have a really good fighting stats, they're a really good addition to your army to boost them behind the lines. And also, like the previous unit, this unit has huge resistances, which is 50% for physical, missile, and the difference between the solar and lunar gets the resistances for spells by 50%, while solar gets the resistances to fire. And for next unit, if you guys want to have some ogres in your Grand Cathay army, here's the chance to get some. It's Cathay Mercenaries called Tauoti. So basically ogres that uses Grand Cathay in armor and weapons. It's a tier 2 unit They're considered anti-large. Decent stats for a tier 2 unit. They also cause fear. They have ogre charge and they're wall breakers, just to add more uniqueness to your army. And for the next unit, I hope you guys like single entities units, because I'm here to show you the Zheng vijra Mingwang. I hope I pronounced this right. Really cool looking unit, as you can see, very unique. I really like his weapons. His melee attacks are flammable and magical, have a armor piercing weapon strength, a really good charge bonus, have a couple of active abilities. One of them is the xiaohu sword, which creates the huge explosion area around him. And the second one, the buff that buffs everyone around him, adding plus 15 melee defense and melee attack, makes units unbreakable. Also, he got the frenzy ability to increase his melee capabilities. He has fueled by rage, increase his melee damage if his health goes below 50%. Got a bunch of 20% resistances, this unit causing terror, and it has demonic ability. So basically, this unit is not gonna rout, it's just gonna destroy itself whenever it's gonna lose in combat. And next we got another cool looking unit called Lord Saint Guardian, which has Tzeentch's Barrier. It has lots of abilities to use. First one is the Saint Duster. It's a wind damaging spell. Second one is the Rolling Cloud Sword Intent, which is another damaging spell, and it's a vertex. Third one is the Falling Sun Meteor, which is the bombardment spell. And the last one is the Breaker technique, which reduces the enemy's stats all around him in a huge area of effect. Also, he got the magical ability for his melee attacks. He's causing terror, and he's also have the demonic ability, which whenever he's gonna lose in the battle, he's not gonna rout, but he's just gonna destroy itself. And for the last part, we got two last units for the flying war machines. The first one is the heli destroyer Queen Zhao. Looks like a flying house on the balloons. Has a good range, armor piercing missile strength. It's like the flying artillery unit. Has a high munition, which is flammable. It's not going to do well against another flying units who are better in melee. It's a tier 3 unit, has the ability, the Border Warriors command basically summons another unit to fight for your side for a short period of time. Has the ability Kite of the Outermost Airs, which deals damage per second to enemy flying units. And for the last unit, we got the Flying Fortress called helicruiser xiaohu. That's a tier 2 unit, has lots of abilities, decent range, decent melee stats for tier 2 flying unit. It has armor piercing, missile strength, and its missile strength also got the shield breaker ability. Its vanguard deployment that encourages friendly units. It's unbreakable. Like the previous unit, it has the ability of Kite of Outermost Airs, which deals damage per second to the enemy flying units, and got 5 abilities that it can use. So the first one is the Worship Support. It's an area of effect ability. It gives lots of cool buffs to the units, also heals them and resurrect the dead combatants. Second spell, Blaze Knights Arms On, summons Dragon Knights units to fight for your side. Third one is called Hawk Warriors Head On, also summons the unit of the Border Warriors. Fourth one is another summoning spell, Command of Warriors Assemble, which summons the Border Warriors command units. And the last one is the Damage Wind ability, which gives the enemy units against whom this spell was used the blinded ability. I think it's a really cool looking unit to add to your Grand Cathay roster. So guys, that was all the new units that's been added with the mod Cathay Warriors of the East. 25 units total. As you can see, very cool looking units. Have unique capabilities. Some of them are really hybrid units that you can use in any situations. Some of them gives amazing buffs to your army, and I hope this mod will give you a different experience for your next Grand Cathay gameplay. If you enjoyed my video, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. I would appreciate it, and hope you guys have a nice day.